Well, hey there, everybody. It's me, Esther Bartkiw. Today, I want to speak to you about a recent spirit visit that I had in the middle of the night. I haven't had one in maybe 2 or 3 months, and it was very interesting. I want to share that with you, tell you how my higher self helped me to understand it and make sense of it. And then also along the way, I'm going to weave in some tips for you to know how to manage to deal with any spiritual visits that you may get in your life experience, in your dream state specifically. All right, so welcome back to my channel. My name is Esther Bartkiw. I'm a core belief therapist. I help people just to discover, explore, and change the limiting belief systems that they hold within. So that would be your beliefs, patterns, behaviors, concepts of reality, outside influence, thoughts that really are holding you back from living the life you want to live and experience. But today we're going to talk about higher self and spirit visits. So here's what happened. It was a couple of nights ago. I was asleep. And I kind of got roused out of sleep a little bit because the temperature in my room dropped. And I knew that meant a spirit had entered into my room. So tip number one, when you have spirit visits, often the temperature of the room will get cold. It will drop dramatically. And this is because that energy being needs to suck up the energy in the room to manifest, right? To materialize. And the materialization could be anything from, wow, I actually see like a figure, an image, a person standing here beside me, which has happened to me before. Or the materialization could be you can see the image in your mind's eye, right? And you know that they're there. You can't see it with your physical eye, but you know that the image is there. All right. So I was lying. I felt the room go cold. In my head, I remember thinking, oh my God, some spirit has entered into the room. And, you know, sometimes they're really welcomed visits and sometimes they're not. So what kind of spirit encounters can you have? First of all, you can get visitations from what we would call really disturbing, menacing, even evil spirits. It happens. It's happened to me. You can get a visit from a wayward spirit. You know, some spirits just moving along and they just come into your room to check you out. This happens a lot when I'm working with clients who live in apartment buildings or in condos or a place where maybe there's a lot of other residences. And at night, when everybody goes to sleep and your spirits wander, they do their astral travel. Sometimes the spirits of other people will come poke around. Usually they're quite harmless and they're just curious, but that doesn't mean they should be there and you can tell them to leave. You can also get spirit visits from people that you know who have passed on. That happens to me, my grandmother on my mother's side. My father, not so often, but when he comes, I absolutely love it. And my Auntie Annie, my dad's sister, she comes to visit me quite a number of times. So you could have visits from people who have passed on. You may have a visit from someone that you know who is alive right now on planet Earth. And it's just like two friends getting together at night in the spirit state to talk, to chat. Sometimes it's not even a friend, it's someone you just know or in passing, but they're curious about you. They want to come hang out with you, so they'll come to your room and check you out in the middle of the night. Again, if you want to have that encounter with them, great. If not, you just tell them, go back home, call me on the telephone tomorrow, and send them away. And then you can have spirit visits from, you know, what we call our guides, from God, from Jesus, from angels, from, in this particular instance, it was ancients, people of ancient traditions that were coming to visit me. So there's all different kinds of spirits you have. And once I knew I've got a spirit visit, I saw in my mind's eye, now my eyes are closed, I could not open my eyes and I could not physically talk. I was talking with the spirits telepathically because I was aware, but I was in a state of paralysis, sleep paralysis. And they appeared at the foot of my bed, which is usually what happens. And I saw that there were 3 of them. There were 2 male type figures in the background. They looked like they were like guards. And again, they looked very ancient, very ancient. They had tattoos on their face. The guards were holding like spears. One had a shield. And they were like standing behind a very petite female figure that was old. I would say she was like 90, 100 years old. You know, when you see photos of those people who are, oh look, they turned 100, they turned 104. That's kind of what she looked like. She also had tattoos on her face. They looked very tribal and very ancient. And I could see them, they don't walk. Usually spirits glide. I could see them glide around to the left side of my bed. And as they were doing that, the woman took her hand and she traced her hand along my arm, and I could feel that touching on my arm. Now, in this case, it was okay. It did not freak me out. But in the past, I have had spirits come and visit me at night, and they're touching my foot and they're touching my arm. And there's been a few cases where they pulled down the blankets from the top down or pulled from my feet down. And I don't like that at all. I usually send those spirits away right away. I don't care if they're nice or friendly or not. I don't like that at all. But anyhow, she touched my arm. I wasn't freaked out because I had a sense that this was a very special encounter. And the 3 of them were on the side of my bed, and I know physically my head turned to look at them. And I could paint a picture of exactly how they looked at my bed. And I also know when you're dealing with spirits to vet them. You don't want to just invite anybody into your space, into your presence. That's how entity attachments happen. And I have a lot of practice helping people get rid of entities that kind of latched on and don't want to move. So I went through the questions, and these are some of the questions you could ask as well when you're vetting a spirit. Who are you? Who sent you? Where do you come from? What is your intention to me? What is your purpose for being here? If I sent you away, how would you feel about that? Okay, so I want to ask a lot of questions. And in this case, I received the answer, and again, we were speaking telepathically of, I have come by your request through God, who has sent me to give you a healing. And then I asked, well, like, who's God? My God? Because a lot of people talk about God, but your God might not be my God. And I want to know, if she said she was coming from my God, then I knew that that was a good energy. Okay? And she said, yes, you're God. And I said, okay, I feel good about this, because I felt good about it. I have enough experience with all these things. I felt good about it. And I said, I accept your healing. She said, I already gave it to you when I touched your arm. And I said, well, then I give myself permission to receive that healing. And I asked her if there's anything else I needed to know about this. And she said no. But the 3 of them, they stood there for me, it was a long time. It was probably just seconds. But often spirit visits, like, they come and they go very, very quickly. And this was, they kind of lingered, and they were looking at me and lingering, and they knew I was not afraid, and then they just faded. It's like they faded into the background. I fell asleep. I woke up the next morning. I remembered what happened. I called my higher self to be present with me, and I said, okay, fill me in on what's going on here. And I said, did God actually send these 3? And she said, yes, they did. I said, so this was legit high vibration, good healing? She said, yes, it was. You did very good at the vetting of your questions. And I said that the lady looked like she was an ancient healer. And my higher self said, yes, she was. And I said, well, from when? And what I received, it was like from Aztecs. And I said, did it have to do with the pyramids, like the Aztec pyramids? Because I have a history with pyramids. And my higher self said yes. And I said, okay, so I received this healing. What was the healing for? Now here my higher self would not tell me. She goes, I'm not going to tell you that because that's your part of your process of allowing the healing to unfold, having faith and having trust. I understand that. Our guidance will often tell us things like that. And she said, but what I can tell you is it's something that you've been praying for, asking for, wanting to manifest, a shift that you want in your life. And she said, you'll be very happy. And I said, well, when will I know the totality of this? And she said, by August, by the end of the summer, you'll have some idea of what happened here last night. And I said, okay, thank you so much. So my higher self help to fill in the details, fill in the blanks of what happened during this spirit visit. This is just one of the many things that your higher self can. So your higher self is your higher, wiser self. It knows everything about you from this lifetime, from past lifetimes. It knows the desires of your hearts. It knows your vulnerabilities. It knows your perceived weaknesses, and it wants to guide you and love you and be your companion in this lifetime. Your higher self is your highest aspect. It is that aspect of you that is still most connected to God, all that is energy. It is that divinity, that divine energy. It's you, but here you are in human form, right? You are light in human form. Your higher self is that divine aspect of you. So it is a great source of love, comfort, and information. And it's important to consciously be aware of your higher self, how your higher self presents to you, how they communicate with you, the types of information that they have to share with you. It's like a guidebook, right? They are a guide. It's like a guidebook. Your higher self, and for me, higher self and God are my two sources of information. Sometimes I have other sources I connect with depending on what's going on in my life, but my go-tos are my higher self and God. And our higher self connects with us in different ways. So for instance, this week I was working with someone, their higher self communicated through blinking, right? 2 blinks for yes, 1 blink for no. Also telepathically, there was a lot of communication. In the other higher self session I did this week, the communication came through words, but there were a lot of images. The higher self kept showing the person images, and then we had to ask questions like, what does this image mean? What are you trying to tell me by showing me this image? What does this object in this image mean? And the person has to get used to now interpreting the images and asking the questions about what are you trying to show me through images. You know, there's that saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, her higher self used pictures and images. Right? So it's important that you get to know your higher self and how they communicate with you and establish a means of communication. Every higher self that I have worked with has told to the person, I am here with you always. You just think of me. You say hello to me. I am here with you always to help you. And both are really happy to start this communication in a more conscious, a deeper way. And then in the session, I take you through a process of asking your higher self some of the questions that you have on your heart right now, getting the answers, and I help you to get really specific answers, deeper answers, start to teach you how to ask your questions so you'll get lots of information, actionable steps, not just teaching. And then along the way, if it's appropriate, we'll ask your higher self if maybe in the moment they can do a release for you or a healing or something like that. And for a limited time, I'm offering this higher self special at a special pricing. So end of April 21st, 2022, end of day, the special price ends. It's going to go back to my regular price. And I am going to put it on in my store because I want people to have access to it more than just once a year. But the special pricing is going to be finished April 21st. All right. So I'm going to put a link below. If this is something that you're interested in, if you feel like you're ready to get to know your higher self and develop this relationship, take a look at it. There's information there, including the times that your process would happen. Okay. So for people in North America, first of all, I work Monday to Friday. For people in North America, the session times are in the morning because of time zones. In Europe, we can do morning, we can do afternoon. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, it'll be more evening your time. All right. Once you sign up, you connect with me. We'll set up a day and a time for your session, and then you just start coming up with your questions. I'm going to guide you through it. So you just come to the session ready to channel your higher self, ready to get to meet your higher self, and I'm going to guide you through the process. And yes, thus far, everybody meets and starts communicating with their higher self. All right. So I hope this information is helpful to you, not just about your higher self, but also how you can work with these spirit visitations. I've done classes on this before, spirit guide classes, entity release classes. If you think that would be something that you would like more information on, let me know before. I'll set up another class if there's enough people. Also do some videos with a few more tips. But right now your tips are, when the room gets really, really cold, right, drop in temperature, that's an indication there's probably a spirit that's come into your room. Number 2, vet your spirits. All right. A high vibrational spirit sent by God will not be upset that it is being vetted. A spirit that has nefarious intentions is the one who's going to say, what, you don't trust me? You don't believe God sent me? You don't believe that I'm Archangel Michael? You don't believe? Wait, I'm going to leave. I'm never going to come back. That's more, nefarious type spirits. So make sure you vet your spirits and get to know about the different type of spirit encounters that you could possibly have. Even if you have an encounter like a loved one comes to visit you, a loved one that passed comes to visit you in the middle of the night or in the middle of day, whenever it might happen, that's wonderful. But also send them away. Send them away. Tell them, yes, you can come visit me at any time. You can watch over the family. This is wonderful. But you also don't want them poking around in your mind, body, and energy field. All right, so set your boundaries and empower yourself. And if you want more information about this type of subject, let me know below. And once we wrap up this higher self process, then I'll start teaching you a little bit more about these spirit encounters. All right. Okay, everybody. Ciao for now. Waving to you from beautiful Budva. Ciao.